sports fans from all around the globe. I'm your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your midday market report for August 18th, 2022. The weekend is here. I'm sitting behind the clubhouse, kind of, sort of, on Brookline D Country Club. Breaking news. What a better way to introduce our guest, our good friend from South Beach, the one and only B2B Rob from Beating the Bookie. Deshaun Watson, not Deshaun Mustard. 11 games, suspended, $5 million fine. So that will be the hot topic on gambling Twitter and social media today. Now what? Deshaun's camp's going to come and sue, yada, yada, yada. Just, Deshaun, take the year off. Get your shit together and come back next year. But let's see what Mr. B2B has to say. The one and only Rob from Beating the Bookie.
Hey, what's going on? I think they actually said both sides agreed to the suspension. So 11 games and a $5 million fine.
The $5 million fine on Watson, or is it for the Texans? I mean, for the Browns.
For Watson, for Watson.
So that's basically his first year salary. I think it was something like it was really not much this year and everything was backloaded, correct?
Yeah, but his signing bonus was still high. So, I mean, he still gets the signing bonus. So, it's really, I mean, for Deshaun, I mean, it's probably like the fine for us would be like $1,000 equivalency, you know? So, it's not very much for him. But it's still, I mean, you still hate to give up any money, but I mean, that's what you get for, he's changed his story so many times, you know. It's when the Browns first put out this, you know, he agreed to pay them. So you're kind of taking some guilt when you pay. I mean, most innocent people, you know, they're going to fight, you know, to clear their name, but you know, you pay them off, you kind of like almost like you admit you're guilty a little bit by paying them off. And then the Browns put on a statement saying Deshaun regrets, like, you know, what it did. And then basically, then he said basically like he was totally innocent. He didn't do anything. And then it was like a week later, it's like, oh, Deshaun regrets the victim. So they've changed the story so many times. It's just, I could care less. I mean, the Browns, regardless, I don't think they're going to do anything. So it's just a pointless conversation to me, especially with him gone 11 games, forget it. You know, they're not making the playoffs. So,
well, let me counter that because it was a joke. 6 games, and you know these guys doing cartwheels. No remorse from the Watson camp. He's running drills with the first team. I think they just thought this was a walk in the park, a slam dunk. I mean, for some of the other cases, Ray Rice never played again. Colin Kaepernick never played again. The PR hit just on something like this. I haven't heard from Dabo Sweeney in years now talking about his prized possession and Deshaun Watson, and now 11 games. You know what? I kind of wish it was a year. Go hide. Go get your shit together. Come back next year. Let us do what it is. So I'm going to play. You're the general manager right now. Are you going to just wave the white flag and you're going to ride Jacoby Brissett to a 3-8, a 4-7, or do you get on the horn and you call up San Francisco and bring Jimmy G in and try to savor the first 11 games?
Yeah, I mean, San Fran would know they're in a bind, so they could take them for whatever they wanted, pretty much. But I think, you know, I think the Browns had a plan for this, you know, from the start. Probably. I mean, you had to have some idea, you know. You had to have some idea what was going to happen. I mean, if you didn't, your head was just in the sand. So, I don't even think, you know, even if they had him, I'm not really sure they're really a contender. You know, they just every year for the last few years, it's the Browns' year. You know, and they never really come through. So I'm not really sold on the Browns. And Watson, he looked terrible in their first game. So, it's not like he was leading the Texans to Super Bowl appearances. You know, I never really, you know, in college, you know, I liked Deshaun Watson. The NFL, he was all right. You know, he put up a lot of statistics, you know, good stats and stuff and at the Texans. But I mean, this is a guy that I watched when he was down. He's down 3 touchdowns in a playoff game in the fourth quarter, they scored to stop a shutout. He's still losing by 3 touchdowns, and he's doing like the Superman thing with his chest, like after you're down 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter in the playoffs, and your season's over, and you're celebrating because you scored a touchdown. Like, I never really liked the kind of the message he sent to the team with that. But I'm just sick of hearing about Deshaun Watson, to be honest. So I just want to move on. I could care less about Deshaun Watson. I don't really care about the Browns. I just want to bet football. Whoever's on the field, that's who I bet. Deshaun Watson, I don't feel bad for him at all. He dug his own grave. So, these guys, some of them, they dig their own graves, So I don't feel bad for him at all. 11 games, good. If he comes back, and they're out of the playoff hunt, we'll see. We'll see what he does, but I don't getting Jimmy G for 11 games. I don't think Jimmy G wants to come play 11 games and then go to the bench. That would be a tough thing to do too. So the Browns, what do they really have to get him from San Fran? That's another thing, I don't really see them getting him. I could see like if a starter got injured for the year and was out for the entire year, that would, because I think Garoppolo can pick where he wants to go pretty much, right?
Once he's released, they still have a release, and they're holding out to try to get something for him.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't really see him going to Cleveland. You look at Cleveland. If you're Jimmy Garoppolo, you look at Cleveland and look what they've done to other quarterbacks. Like they've destroyed pretty much every quarterback that's gone there for the last 25 years. Since Tim Couch, really. So I just look at their quarterback history over the last 25 years, and it's not something that I would want to be a part of. So that's, if I was Jimmy Garoppolo, Cleveland would be like the last spot that I would really want to go to.
Let me change gears. I know this, I'm not going to bore you with this. There's been some new rulings. Tiger, they fly Tiger in. The PGA goes, hey, Tiger, we got a problem here. And how do we rectify the problem? Some of the big seasoned veterans stuck their feet in the ground, the Rorys of the world, the Tigers, and they've made it clear. Justin Thomas, they're here. This is where they want to be. The others want to go. Let them fly the coop. You have talked a lot about Jesus. If you didn't hype up the live and just let them go over and play, you could have played back and forth. I was listening to Dubsy yesterday even. The fact of the matter is, you look at the 70-man field this week, you could have added some flavor with the Bryson DeChambeaus, the Patrick Reeds, the Phil Mickelsons. Actually, Phil probably wouldn't have made it. But the fact of the matter is, there was some kind of resolution. I saw the guaranteed $500,000. Give us your take on what transpired over the last week, and then the sit down with Tiger and the rest of the group.
Well, I mean, allegedly they guaranteed $500,000 for anybody on tour. So say if somebody made $200,000 on tour that year, the PGA would give them another $300,000 to make $500,000. And that's allegedly what happened. We don't really know many details, from the meeting, but they obviously flew Tiger up there because, Tiger flew himself up there because he has his own planes, but just to like set the mood, like all these kids look up to Tiger, and a lot of the older players look up to Tiger also. So like Rory said, Tiger was the only, if Rory's in the same room with Tiger, there's only one alpha male in there, and it's not him. So I just think that basically Rory went, Tiger went there basically to basically signal to the PGA, like, this is a problem, it's not, something needs to be done, right? And they did something allegedly, with this $500,000 guarantee. And I looked, and like out of 200 players or 220 players that played on tour this season, I think only about 60 of them did not have 500,000 in winnings. So, it affects, it's better for like the guys at the bottom, much better for them, which is why like a lot of guys are going to live too. So, cause for the guaranteed paydays and stuff, but I just find it like rich that the PG, that these PGA writers and stuff, now they're like, oh, it's great. Now they're giving guaranteed money to these PGA players also, just like live. What happened to like the last month? They're like, oh, you give guaranteed money to these guys. Why are they going to try to finish high on these tournaments? They're just going to show up and get the guaranteed money. They said that about Live, and now it's like for the PJ, it's like not the same case, right? So they have two different views on the same exact thing just because it's a separate league. But obviously, the guaranteed money is nice, but these guys are still playing as hard as they can because they want to make as much money as they can every single week. If you're not doing something to make money, what's the point of it? What's the point of even doing it? So the PGA definitely made some improvements in their structure, and I think that'll help the younger players who don't really have their feet under them a lot more starting out, like coming over from the Corn Ferry Tour. They know they're going to get their biggest payday ever for a season now with $500,000 guaranteed at least. So it'll help some of those younger guys. But I think that these players on the PGA, instead of holding Phil as like a pariah, like Phil is like the black cloud in the room, they need to thank Phil really, because everything that he told the PGA was wrong with the PGA like a year ago, before there was even any live tournaments, was exactly, he told the PGA what they needed to do to improve. That's exactly what the PGA did the last few months with the additions of these $25 million tournaments, with the addition of this guaranteed money. It was everything Phil wanted. And now the PGA players have that. So these players should be thanking Phil instead of like, trying to dog him. I mean, it's because of Phil Mickelson they have this. Otherwise, they wouldn't. And because of like Bryson DeChambeau too, they have this, and Brooks Koepka and all these guys that went to the live. And guys are still going to go to live. So Cameron Smith's going. They're talking about Patrick Cantlay, maybe Xander, right? So sooner or later, this meeting was nice and all, for the PGA players. But sooner or later, they're going to have to come together where they can both play in both, because it's not sustainable for both. Nobody wants to watch the John Deere Classic where Dylan Fratelli is, in the final pairing on the final day with Tom Kim. Like, nobody's going to tune into that. I don't care how much you like golf. Like, I don't care how much I bet on it. I'm just going to check this. I'm going to check my phone for updates. I'm not going to sit there and watch it like the entire day. And I love golf, so the PGA recognized they have a problem, and it's just one step. This players meeting was just one step in the direction of many steps they're going to have to take. So I'd like to see, like, Jay Monahan and Greg Norman, will they ever, sit down and meet face to face and talk about this? I don't know, but that obviously would be a step that they need to take. But can Jay Monahan do it? I'm not really sure he's ready to give them any credibility. But he's already giving the live credibility, by having these players, these emergency player meetings. It makes people see that the live is a serious league, and the PGA views them as a serious threat. So obviously, the more golfers that go, the more panic is going to set in for the PGA, and the more they're going to break and come towards the middle. So we'll just have to see what names go. If the big names all go, like, it's great when Tiger flies up for the players meeting, but listen, Tiger, 3 years from now, Tiger's not going to be playing any events. Right? His career's going to be done, retired. So, that can only hold so much weight. So, we'll see.
PGA Top 70 tee off today at the BMW Championship. Final 30 go next weekend for, I think it's like $18 million. What did you see going into today? What did you see going into the weekend? Lean tickets. I saw your clip on some first round leaders. How'd you break down this tournament?
Yeah, I just, it's a tough, it's a tough tournament to really do. I didn't do a client package for this week because the last, 2 weeks, my golf wasn't very good, to be honest. And it's just like such a small field. I know it's like, it's kind of interesting because PGA fans say, oh, these limited man fields and no cut is so stupid for golf. Yet here they are doing one. The PGA's ultimate tournament of the season starts with the best golfer having a 10-shot handicap over the 30th place. These people's line of thinking doesn't make any sense. They contradict themselves every step along the way. But for this tournament, I just did I did the Travis Fulton, the Stripe show on Tuesday. I gave out all my golf plays for this one. I just had some top 10s, top 20s first round leaders. We played like Cantley, Morikawa, Finau, Sepp Straka, Billy Horschel, top 20. John Rahm, Tony Finau, Adam Scott, JT Poston, top 10. I played Rahm to win, Zalatoris to win, and Morikawa to win. And a couple first round leaders. And I faded Rory in a couple matchups. I took Cantlay and Rahm to beat Rory head to head. I just played this like looking at, for these end of the season tournaments, I'm just looking at form a lot. How is a guy coming in? So I played Adam Scott, top 10 plus 490, right? Because he's playing some good golf, three top 15s his last 6 events. He was the best putter in the event last week. So I just played like guys on, how they're performing right now. I didn't play Rory because I faded Rory actually because last week he's talking about, I haven't picked up a club since the Open. Didn't practice, probably gained a lot of weight. I didn't work out at the gym. So, he missed a cut last week. So why would you back it? I mean, why am I going to put my money on a guy who's basically saying, hey, I haven't done anything for the last month? So is he still like dwelling on that Open loss? So I faded Rory right there because I don't think winning the FedEx Cup, even for him, he's got, people can say the live guys have a lot of money, but Rory has a ton of money also from these equipment deals, $200 million, $300 million. So how much more is really going to make a difference for him? So I think Rory's incentive to win it, I just don't think it was there last week. So, and I think he's also getting sick of like the live, like having to do these press conferences, ask about the live and stuff. He's having to be the PJ spokesperson basically, and I think he's just sick of it. So I faded Rory. I played guys who play these kind of longer courses well, narrow fairways, who can find the fairway off the tee, who are good at hitting those greens with their irons, stuff like that. So hopefully I can have a good weekend. But the last 2 weeks, like I said, I had a max play on Billy Horschel last weekend, top 40, and he double bogeyed like on the back 9 to miss the cut by a stroke. So that was kind of brutal. But I'm just hoping for a nice tournament this week. And it's nice that golf is winding down because this season is so long. It's been like, it's like the 10th month, right? I mean, I started off this season with Rory winning like the CJ Cup for my packages. I feel like that was like a year ago, and we're still going on to the same season. So these seasons are so long. I'm just ready, honestly. I'm ready for like the PGA grind to be over for like a month at least. So I just can't wait really for it to be over. But hopefully these last 2 we can finish with a bang.
Yeah, I'll close the golf segment here. And, I like what you're thinking with Adam Scott. He was playing for something, and he's rounding into form. Tony had won a couple tournaments in a row. He's in form. The pressure of the world is off Willie V's back. He finally broke through. I think that makes him extremely dangerous the next 2 weeks. The Cam Smiths of the world takes this week off. He didn't need to play. He's all set for the final week. I think Scheffler's leaking oil. Rahm just hasn't put it together. You're talking about the problems with Rory. I know we have to play this week, and then we got to see how many shots back we are going into next week. If you add Biff's almanac, Rob, and you had one swing just to pull out of the hat, who's holding the cup?
Next week, I would definitely take Zalatoris over Scheffler because, like you said, Scheffler has been leaking oil, and I think he's just he played a lot of tournaments this year, right? And I think he's just a little tired. He seemed, last week Scheffler seemed a little frustrated. So I think, Scheffler is leaking oil, and I think Zalatoris has a lot of momentum, and Zalatoris got a lot of adrenaline rush from that win last week, right? So he's going to be high going into this week. So I can see Zalatoris, maintaining it, where Scheffler, he had such a big lead in the FedEx Cup, and now it's fallen off. So he's losing. So I I can see Zalatoris taking it, but I'll tell you what, if Cam Smith is like 4 shots back on the first round, I could easily see. I mean, Cam Smith can run somebody down in 1 round easily, 5 shots. So a 4-shot lead, against Cam Smith is really nothing. And John Rahm also plays that course well too. So, but he'll be further back. But Rahm was in the 60s all rounds last week also. So I can see Cameron Smith running down maybe Zalatoris, especially if Cameron Smith, if his putter is on fire, forget it. I mean, he'll catch those guys in 1 round, 2 rounds. I don't think it'll be like Patrick Cantlay last year, like wire to wire. That's just how Cantlay plays. He just gets the job. Like last year, he was so hot. He was just getting the job done every hole. I don't see that happening this year. Hopefully we see something exciting, next week. But they need to come up with something new because it doesn't make. I have a hard time like making this last tournament make sense. The best golfer in the world with a 10-shot handicap. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, come up with some other type of format because it just play it like a regular tournament or something. It just doesn't make any sense to me. While you're giving the best guy a 10-shot, handicap over the rest. But those are what the PGA came up with, and they know more than me. So
that would be an absolute PGA nightmare if Cam Smith wins the FedEx Cup, drops the mic and saying, "I'm out." I mean, this would I can just see it now. They're just cringing, Rob, if that happens.
Yeah, I don't think he's pretty well, like, he has pretty good manners. He's like pretty well behaved, Cam. He speaks very like, very like eloquently. So I don't think Cam is like the kind of guy who would be like, how do you feel that you just won the FedEx Cup? He's like, I feel great. I'm out to live. See you guys later. Like, I don't see him doing that, because you never want to really burn any bridges coming back. So I think he'll handle it with class. But that would definitely be nightmare fuel for the PGA having to say like next year, what they're not going to let the defending FedEx champion defend his FedEx Cup, like. So, I mean, these are the things that, like, it's in favor of Liv if Cam Smith wins because they have more leverage. So, we'll see. We don't really, nobody, like Dave always says, like, nobody knows anything, right? Nobody knows shit or whatever. So, really, nobody knows shit. I mean, the only people that know anything are the people that were in that room. We don't know shit. We just do the best we can with what information we find.
MLB, the mighty had fallen or have fallen. That Yankee money train sputtering since the break. An amazing walk-off grand slam last night with Donaldson. In come the Jays. We got about 6 weeks left of MLB. I've been saying for a long, long time now, it's going to be tough to beat that Scherzer DeGrom 1-2 punch. Obviously, the Dodgers keep rolling. The American League, though, the Astros now with a 3.5 game lead over the Yankees. As this month of August has progressed, your eyes changing at all in the American League? I know we talked last week about the Dodgers. You're comfortable with your Dodgers stand there. I know it's a 162 game marathon. We all get that. But the Yankees this weekend, I think they could sweep the Jays, and then the Jays. I think the Jays are outside looking in, but when this comes to
yeah, the Jays, they're hit or miss. They don't really do it for me. And I think the Yankees are just fine. I don't really see like the seasons are so long. You never really put too much into any winning streak or too much into any losing streak. That what matters is the playoffs. So as long as you're winning your division, you get to the playoffs. I mean that's when it starts, and the Yankees obviously the Yankees have the best offense in the league, right? They have the best lineup. They haven't been hitting for like 2 weeks. All right. That's not going to last though. But I think for the Yankees, what's encouraging the last few weeks, their pitching has been great outside of, Aroldis Chapman, who Every time the guy comes into the game, he loads the bases up. Maybe he'll strike out the side after that, but he makes it an adventure. Last night, he loads the bases up, back-to-back walks, gives up a double, down by 3, and you're thinking another loss for the Yankees, and then Josh Donaldson comes up with a walk-off grand slam. I think the Yankees are fine. So, I mean, the American League, it's just the Dodgers. I mean, it's the Yankees and the Astros by far over everybody else. You have there's really no. I don't see anybody else in the AL that's really. The Mariners made these moves before the deadline. I don't think that made them any better. The Mariners team reminded me of like the Rockies, like years ago when the Rockies went on like an 18-game winning streak to make the playoffs. Like they played way above their skill level. It's kind of like what the Mariners were doing. I don't really think the Mariners are much of a threat. So pretty sure the ALCS is Yankees versus Astros, and it's hard to like not favor the Astros in that spot just because of their winning experience over the Yankees. They have that mental edge. Dodgers covered like 14 straight run lines. So they were a complete train, and the Mets were playing well too. The Braves did hammer them for a couple games, but at the end of the day, I'll take the Dodgers' experience. Playoffs is all about experience. It's not like the Dodgers. The Mets have great arms, obviously. Scherzer, but Dodgers. Dodgers. Pitching staff is no stiff. So and I'll take the Dodgers bats any day of the week. So. I still favor the Dodgers in the NL, but I think the NL is like it's a race between the Dodgers, the Mets, and I can see the Braves like getting hot. Just like last year, the Braves get hot at the right time, and they come in and they do some big things. So I don't want to count out the Braves, but I think it's between the Dodgers, Mets, and Braves in the NL.
Week 0, 9 days away, Rob. We have NFLX preseason week 2. Talk some football to us. What you're seeing, how you play the next few weeks. Are you, picking some spots this weekend in the NFL?
Yeah.
Are you making yourself more geared to next weekend in week 0?
Yeah, I gave out my preseason. I always do for free. Last week I gave out we went 5-2 in preseason. It was all right. The couple of losses were like just brutal. Like I lost the Lions? Lost the Lions money line. Literally all they had to do was they had the ball with 2 minutes left. Take a knee. The game is over, right? They have no timeouts left on the other side. The Lions fumble it. Right, getting ready to take the knee. Like they just snaps it right back to the quarterback, and it just basically he wasn't ready for the snap. They fumble it, they lose the game. Right, so we went 5-2 last week. I gave out a play yesterday actually for tonight. I played the Bears plus 3.5. Because the Seahawks, right? They got Geno Smith, Drew Lock. He's out. He's out with COVID. Drew Lock's out. So. And the reason why the Seahawks were able to come back last week, though the Steelers still won. The reason that Seattle was able to come back is Drew Lock was just slinging it all over the place, right? He may be like a very mediocre NFL quarterback, but he's playing against second and third team defenses. He's going to look good every time, with his experience. So I played the Bears tonight because, I just like their quarterback depth. Basically, all 3 guys have started games before for the Bears. I think Justin Fields I actually had the Bears last week to beat the Chiefs also. Justin Fields wasn't very good, right? But their backup, they got good play from their backups. And basically the Bears are like trying to win. New coach, they're really trying to win. Like Pete Carroll, I don't think Pete Carroll really gives 2 shits about like an exhibition game, and Geno Smith, he's all right. But I mean, when Geno Smith was playing last week, they were down like 17-3 when he went out of the game, and Drew Lock brought him back to tie it up. So I like the Bears just because the Bears have more stuff to work on. Justin Fields, I think he played so poorly last week that the Bears are going to try to get him like going this week, sooner or later. you got to start looking a little better. And remember, we only have 3 preseason games, right? So they got to get ready to go. So this is the game probably where he's going to play the most, I would say. So I'll take the Bears plus 3.5 any day over a Seahawks team that I don't think they're not playing with much, right? They don't have much on offense. They're not playing with much, and they're not really. I don't think Pete Carroll really cares about the preseason. Whereas the new Bears coach, he wants to prove himself, right? He wants to set that foundation, and he's got he wants the team to take him seriously for the regular season. Whereas Pete Carroll is already established, he doesn't need to do that. So, like the Bears plus 3.5, I think they probably win outright, but I'll take the 3.5 points just so I don't get hooked.
Last week, the money train overs 13-3. The whole world's got their chest out. They're just collecting money because it's a gift. You talk about it's not 4 games. It's only 3 games. The third game always was the dress rehearsal. Everyone always sits for that one. So good thoughts there. Maybe a lot of these teams are going to use week 2 as, hey, we got to speed up the process. I know a lot of teams played practices with each other for the week leading up to the game. As I had on the show this morning, the Patriots and Panthers, 6 brawls over the weekend, over this week. Matt Rule is out of control. He's already lost the locker room. The head's on the lead favorite for the first coach out in the NFL. The thought process, if someone listening today says, hey, Jesus, I was late to the 13-3 free cash. Do you look at regression and everyone's going to be running the window to these overs, Rob? Or you're going to see, Vegas saying, no, we're not posting any 33s anymore. They're 35s, 37s, 40s, 41s.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure some people will do that, but for me personally, I look at every on a game-to-game basis. I don't care what last week was, right? 13-3 last week for the over. That means nothing to me. I'm just looking at what this week's going to be, right? So I'm not just going to play all unders this week because historically unders hit in the preseason at 63%. I'm not doing that, right? Somebody asked me a question yesterday. They're like, well, should we play all unders this week because historically preseason hits at 63% under? Well, every season is different, right? I don't care what they did last season or the season before that. That has nothing to do with this season. I take every game game by game. So, I mean, I'm sure I'll still play overs this week. It doesn't really concern me that last week was 13-3. That happens. And, every year we see the NFL is more high scoring. Right? These offenses, the play calling gets better. Tackling gets worse by the year. They have more rules every year that favor the offense, So I don't really I'm sure some sharps are going to go out there and play every single under, right? And then if the unders go 13-3, the sharps are going to be like, well, we told you so. We knew every game was going to go under. But I take it game to game. I'm not playing every single game. But yeah, you definitely I'm sure people will do that, but I won't be one of those.
Close here. Week 0. Again, we're 9 days away. Are you anything already in tow for you? Or are you going to sit and watch? I know the big game already. The whole world's on Northwestern against Nebraska in Ireland. That number opened at 10.5. I've seen it as high as 12.5, 13. There's a handful of other games. The late game, Vandy at Hawaii. Anything pique your interest yet? You're going to wait to see where the market goes the next 9 days.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really yet. I kind of like Nebraska. I think they'll be a lot better this year. I mean, they lost so many games I think they lost 9 games last year by 1 score or less. So, I think Nebraska, Northwestern, I think, Pat Fitzgerald I think the cupboards run dry there, right? I don't really think he can accomplish much more there. So I kind of like Nebraska there. Probably fade UConn just because I mean how much can they improve in 1 year?
28 points with Jim Mora, the new head coach.
But Utah State, Utah State's done me in a few times, so not really sure there. But yeah, you got the Nebraska game, then pretty much that's it. I mean, I don't know if I'll be dabbling in much more than that. That week. It's kind of, that week 0 is kind of one you just watch and you just maybe play live if you can. But I think Florida State also plays Duquesne. Big game right there against Duquesne. And then you got Charlotte, FAU Charlotte. That should be a decent game. And then you got the night saver that everyone will go to if they're down. They'll all be betting the Hawaii Vanderbilt game. Hawaii, they were dead last season. Half their team was quitting, right, because they hated the coach. Now they've got a new coach. Maybe they've turned it around a little bit. And I'm not looking to lay a touchdown with Vanderbilt, headed to the Big Island. So wouldn't surprise me, honestly. Like Vanderbilt should win easily just because SEC team should never lose to Hawaii. But if there's a team that could lose to Hawaii, it would be Vanderbilt. So that'll be a fun one probably at night. But yeah, the Nebraska game right now, that's pretty much all I have my eye on. I might take UTEP or something. I don't know. You really got to wait till a couple days before the game. I know a lot of these guys that they're playing these lines in the preseason, like they're playing these lines 8 weeks before the game. I can't do that just because you never know what the weather's going to be. You never know if guys going to get, especially these days, so-and-so tested positive for COVID, blah, 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 he's out. So it's hard to take a chance these days doing that. But just off the bat, I would probably take Nebraska. If I play a bunch of team totals too. But right now we don't really have any of the team totals up. But yeah, I'll probably play about 3 or 4 plays max. But like week 1 is not. It's this week 0. I don't for like my clients like college package. If I play this, I just give it to them for free because I'm not charging like a week for 9 games or whatever it is. But I can't wait. I mean, we're 9 days from the start of college football season, so it's the season that I feel like is always the longest wait to get going, and then it's over before you even blink. So I'm just hoping for a good year this year. Lucky the COVID stuff's in the rear view, and looking forward to getting out to Vegas in 11 days or 12 days and having some fun putting some futures bets in.
The scroll has been working the whole time, Rob. They can follow you at Beating the Bookie on Twitter. Just tell everyone what you have right now, where they can go, and what you can get them set up for Labor Day weekend in the college world as we're about to kick off.
Yeah, I've got, on beatingthebookie.com, my website, I've got all the packages you need, football, baseball, hockey when hockey is going, soccer's been going great right now, golf, although the season's winding down, so I won't have any more tournaments this season for packages. But everything you want, it's on the site. We got like betting FA, frequently asked questions that help people manage their bankroll, stuff like that. Everything that you could really want. I give out a lot of free plays too, so everyone that's watching, they probably already know that. So I'm just looking forward to getting into the thick of things. Football is here. There's no more waiting, and I'm actually like, I enjoyed the preseason NFL last week. I thought it was pretty good. So I'm looking forward to some more preseason NFL this week, some canceling some teams out. I've already canceled some teams out this year that are going to suck. Like the Bears are going to suck this year. Case Keenum, the Bills better than ever. Hope he sees 1 minute of playing time because he was terrible. And I'm just looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun season, and I can't wait to get started.
The one, the only, Mr. BDB at Beating the Book. Rob, we can't thank you enough for your weekly appearance on Thursdays at high noon. Next week, you got 12 days to Vegas, right?
Yeah, the 31st, I'm going there. So
Right. So we'll start off with a temperature check on the U. I know a lot of people watching and listening love to hear you talk about the U. Big things are expected from the Canes this year, so we'll be looking for your
Every year though. That's the every year it's just, you just prove it to me first, right? Like they play Texas A&M the third game, so we'll know pretty soon. If they beat Texas A&M, like forget it. Like the place is gonna go like fucking crazy, right? The hype train's gonna be in full force, and then they could lose like some shitty team after that. So this is just their pattern, before Cristobal. So they've gotten the recruits for sure, right? They're right up there in the top 10 in recruiting. Especially with the NIL and stuff. So they could definitely make a run, but I'm not going to say like I got them going to the playoffs this year because it's like a homer. Like nobody, don't take me seriously, right? Like nobody's going to take me seriously. So we'll see. They got to prove themselves. Cristobal has to prove himself to me. I've been let down by Mario many times in the past betting Oregon. So we'll see if he can get it done this year. Win those games that you're supposed to win.
Mhm.
And then win the games that are toss-ups. You got to win both. Don't give away easy games. And that's been their problem, the past few years, giving away easy games. And their defense was terrible last year under Al Golden. Not Al Golden, but Manny Diaz. They couldn't tackle. Their defensive backs were terrible. Linebackers were terrible. So have they, that was a lot of improvement needed to get a lot better for this year. So have they made that improvement? We'll just have to see. Everybody can talk all they want, but once they hit the field, that third game at Texas A&M, a team who beat Alabama at home last year, can they beat Jimbo Fisher, put Jimbo Fisher on the hot seat early? Can they do that? If they can, then they're a serious threat, especially in the ACC.
We can't wait. The one and only B2B, Rob at Beating the Bookie. We thank everyone for watching and listening. If you are not following Rob, go over to Twitter at Beating the Bookie. Reach out to him. He'll reach back. He's got some great packages, obviously, on his website. Great as always here on Thursdays. We look forward to it. And maybe you can get out and play 9 after this. How's that?
I already did. I played. So I played this morning after the gym, 9 holes, quick, hour and a half, hot, real hot. So you can't play on the afternoons here. It just gets too hot. So I was annoyed the entire round. So it is what it is. So I'll take a couple of days off of golf now and watch some football.
There it is. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Myself will be back tomorrow morning in the afternoon. Great as always. Best of luck this weekend, and we'll be back in touch with you next week at the same time.
All right, see ya.
Take care.